Gentleman from Texas is now recognized. The gentlewoman reserves. Thank you.
The Democrat leader talks about the mosaic. I assume by the mosaic that anyone who votes for this bill today will be supporting that we're talking about $156,000 for the Hartford Gay and Lesbian Health Collective, an organization self-described as champions of LGBTQIA equity and provides training in cultural competency and access to health care for LGBTQ youth, or $2 million in Oregon clinic that provides hormone therapy for kids, or the $850,000 for gay senior housing in Massachusetts, or $400,000 for the Brier Patch Youth Services in Wisconsin that has gender-affirming clothing program for kids 13 to 18, or $400,000 to the Garden State Equality Education Fund, which helps minors transition genders, promote biological boys playing girls' sports and using the same restrooms. I could go on and on. How about the $1 million for the Inner City Muslim Network, which calls for the destruction of Israel? That's what we're funding. That's precisely what we're funding in this legislation. So when the Democratic leader talks about a mosaic, that's what he's talking about. And my Republican colleagues who will campaign against it all year, they're voting to fund it today. To be very clear, my Republican colleagues are voting to fund that so-called mosaic today, unless they choose the right path and vote against it. And my friend from California, when he talked about, the horrors that'll happen if we have a CR, well, we shouldn't be here. This is the swamp acting what it does. Have government funding expire on the Friday before a 2-week recess heading into Easter, precisely to have the pressure of jet fumes so that the American people are the ones left holding the bag, so that we, members of Congress, can go off to our Codels, can go travel, can go do your fundraisers, can make sure you get home. But the ones left holding the bag are the American people. And when we talk about this, the game was given up. When we talk about defense, everything that is happening here is being done in the name of defense. Everything that you see. And talking about how our national security will be undermined. Well, tell me about national security in Texas. When you have the National Guard getting rolled over in El Paso, when you have Texans dying from fentanyl poisoning, when you have gangs and cartels operating in Texas, talk to me about national security then.
Gentleman from Texas.
The gentleman from Florida a moment ago talked about the fact that we defund UNRWA and we defund some policies that are pernicious. I agree with him. It's a part of the process that we carried out last year when we set out to change this institution, to return to some sort of regular order, to have 72 hours to read bills, to be able to have single subject bills, to offer amendments on the floor, to actually have an appropriations process. We passed 7 appropriations bills off of the floor of the House. We passed 3 out of committee to the floor. We actually had some amount of debate. We're able to move things through. And we got some of our policy priorities, and we then sent them over to the Senate. And then what do? We walked away, and we went back to business as usual in the swamp, where a handful of people that they call four corners all sit back and decide for you. Not the people in this room as a body, but a handful of so-called cardinals. The same group that I heard guffawing in the back a minute ago. The same block of appropriators that think they're the ones that get to control the entire world and use our men and women in uniform as an excuse to undermine the national security of this country by spending money we don't have, by racking up debt to the tune of $1 trillion every 100 days, while funding all manners of sins with respect to transgender surgeries, abortion, tourism, funding the World Health Organization to give away our sovereignty, funding open borders with mass parole that led to the death of Lake and Riley. Everybody who votes for this bill today, you own it. Don't go out and campaign this year saying you oppose this stuff when you write the check, because that's what's happening today. Every single Republican, every single Democrat who votes for this omnibus spending bill today, they own it. They own the open borders. They own the woke military that we cannot recruit people to fight in. They own giving our sovereignty to World Health Organization and international bodies. They own more funding for the Wuhan lab. Yeah, that's all in there. They own it. We should vote no. You want to win in November? Vote no. I yield back.